I love it when people play around. Such a beautiful, flexible instrument as well. That is stability. That is the stability that you could see that. Boom! Kia ora and welcome. My name is ZoeStibi and I'm your vocal coach for today because we are going to be taking a look at the vocals of Cynthia Erivo singing The Wizard and I for Wicked, One Wonderful Night. To say I'm excited, I think is an understatement, so let's just get straight to see what she's up to with her vocal technique. Eee!
Did that really just happen? Have I actually understood? This weird quirk I've tried to suppress or hide is a talent that could help me meet the wizard if I make good.
We have to comment on the fact that she's, this is obviously Jeff Goldblum there is playing a little bit more jazzy there, but she's very, very quiet in this situation. Now, you can see the microphone's very, very close to her mouth, and we're using this as the first port of call as singers using microphones to adjust the volume. So did that really just happen? This is in almost a jazz style with thinner vocal folds, lots of thyroid tilt in there, and a little tiny bit of that cry going, did that really just happen? And we've got that extra vibrato going on. It's very common in jazz singing. Let's go back on that.
Did that really just happen? Have I actually understood? This weird quirk I've tried to suppress or hide is a talent that could help me meet the wizard.
You can see that, help me meet. She's using her anchoring muscles in the head and the neck and the top of the back there to help hold back the muscles that we use to breathe out in the ribs. Help me meet the wizard. It sounds like there's a lot of air being used in the sound, but actually she's really working to hold back the air.
Help me meet the wizard if I make good.
And you go figure, if I make good, she's moving through those vowels there. You can see good, going through that good, almost turning it into a diphthong, which is really cool. Again, very jazzy in the style of really bending those vowels. But you can go good, and we've got the pharyngeal vibrato going on there. Love it. The pharyngeal vibrato is where the vibrato is created at the back of the mouth rather than a true vibrato, which is created just at the level of the vocal folds.
If I make good, so I'll make good.
And you could hear, so I'll make good. Even just the way in which she's used the phrase there, again, a little bit jazzier, which I love the way that they've come up with something completely different for the start of the song as well. Because, everybody that's there knows the song. I love it when people play around with the style of the song. So good. She hasn't crescendoed onto that note. Very similar vocal quality for the first part of the song. Thinner vocal folds. Now, Cynthia is a highly trained singer, so this isn't going to be difficult for her because of the training that she's had, but thinner vocal folds are generally a little bit, well, I don't want to say difficult because it's depending on where you're coming from and what your background is, but they're generally requiring a large muscular effort to hold back the breath so that we don't just blow it all out in that sound. But lots of thyroid tilt in there. Let's just go back on that.
So I'll make good.
well. We have to also just say good. To hold that note, there's not a blip in that sound. That is all done by making sure that we are holding back the diaphragm. And I know I don't use that D word very often here on the channel because we can't control the diaphragm itself. What we are using, we're holding back the diaphragm because the diaphragm is actually just now passive in the breathing up process. It's just relaxed and gone back up. It's heading on its way back up to push all the air out of the lungs. What we need to do is to use the back muscles that we talk about in terms of anchoring, using these side rib muscles in order to hold the ribs outwards so that the diaphragm doesn't ascend quite as quickly as it's used to doing. We're also trying not to grip in the abdominal muscles, which would then again cause the abdominal muscles are breathing out muscles actually.
When I meet the wizard, once I prove my worth, then I meet the wizard, what I've waited for since birth, and with all his wizard wisdom, by my looks he won't be blinded. Do you think the wizard is dumb, or like munchkins, so small-minded? No, he'll say to me, I see who you truly are, a girl on whom I can rely, and that's how we'll begin.
She's got such a beautiful, flexible instrument as well. So we've got a very similar vocal quality, and then you could call this a mix. We're not really in thick vocal folds, but we're definitely not in, well, I suppose you could say it's like a light chest voice, right? Or this mix sound. When I meet the wizard, once I prove my worth. It's very low volume, and it sounds quite bright, actually. This isn't a very high, so the C sharp. That, I mean, I say that I sing this song often, and I don't know what note we're on. So we're on the C sharp 4 there, which is like just the C sharp of middle C. Basically, we're just going to leave that there. So we've got the when I meet the wizard. In order to keep that low volume at that vocal fold closure, we need to have a lot of thyroid tilt. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And you can notice that she's not going to falsetto because we're not getting that hollow sound that we need for falsetto. Let's just go back on that. So just falsetto just wouldn't work in that part of the song.
Do you think the wizard is dumb, or like munchkins, so small-minded? No.
I mean, like low volume, right? Like, and like munchkins, so small-minded. No. So she's allowing, which you have to do, allowing the larynx to move with the pitch, but she's not really changing the position of the vocal folds themselves. As she's going higher, that increase in the pressure from the lungs and the breath pressure is what's basically beefing up the sound, and also for the fact that it's going a bit higher.
Say to me, I see who you truly are, a girl on whom I can rely, and that's how we'll begin.
Because then, so she's, same larynx position there, and that's how we'll begin. We've got this higher larynx position, brighter sound. There's no vibrato in the sound. I know I said that there needs to be lots of thyroid tilt. Now that I heard that again, I almost wonder if I'm a little bit wrong in that sense, because there's no vibrato coming in. We're not really hearing a sweetening of the sound. It's sounding quite straight, so that would usually tell my ears that we are actually in a vertical larynx position, which would make it, it's sort of like a little bit what Jessie J does, which, obviously she's musical theatre trained as well. We're staying in that actually probably slightly thicker vocal folds as we're going in. Now I'm rehearing it. I'm like, maybe I'm changing my mind a little bit here, Zoe. But we're hearing now the sweetness of the tone, and that's when my ears were like, I think this is where the thyroid tilt is coming in. Oh, it's so wonderful how many colors start coming out when you hear this song so many times. So you go, rely, no vibrato also signals to our ears that there's like very little, if no, thyroid tilt in that moment. And that makes it easier. That's how we'll begin to pop up into that slightly breathier falsetto sound, also easier in that vertical larynx position. hard to hit that note actually in that larynx position. Wizard and I on the G sharp 3, which is the G sharp below middle. I. You can hear it almost didn't sit 100%. Now, do we really care? No, because she's walking. We're also hearing them with all of those lovely instruments and the strings. So we don't really need to worry about. We've got this like coming in underneath the sound through the orchestration that's giving us that sort of excitement, that heartbeat that's coming into the sound. Let's just go back on that. We kind of haven't heard that until that point because they're doing a little bit more of the jazzy, and you hear him. I love it.
The wizard and I. Once I'm with the wizard.
And can you hear that? Ba, 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 in the accompaniment there. And I mean, I'm not used to singing with a full orchestra, but we've got the ban, dun, dun. When we've got those syncopated chords, that's also giving us this feeling of like, we're nearly coming up to something. It's sort of almost like this feeling of falling in the instrumentation there. And that's really what Elphaba is doing this moment. She's sort of like, whoa, realizing the excitement, the possibilities that could be opened up to her. Very hard to walk in heels across the stage and hold on to a note like that. That is stability. That is the stability that we all should wish for.
Once I'm with the wizard, my whole life will change. 'Cause once you're with the wizard, no one thinks you're strange. No father is not proud of you. No sister acts ashamed. All of us has to love you. By the wizard you're acclaimed. And this
I'm too bad. Okay, so much going on. So we've got this. Let's go back on that. I love the way that they have staged this. And I will admit, I have seen this performance. I had to watch it obviously on Saturday. I had to specifically go and get Sky so I could watch it here in Germany because, we don't have anything else. I will admit though, I have already seen this performance because of course I couldn't miss it, and I had to sit in my green tracksuit watching this, of course, and having a big old cry because it's just so beautiful. So now we've gone into the second verse, you could call it. We've got a slightly thicker vocal fold closure. You can hear that there seems to be a slight deepening or darkening of the sound. That could be due to so many different things. I don't really feel like she's chucked her larynx down, but it would be a slight bringing down of the larynx or a changing of the tongue position, which would increase that pharyngeal space here at the back of the mouth. And that's what's going to bring in that roundness of the sound.
once I'm with the wizard, my whole life will change. 'Cause once you're with the wizard, no one thinks you're strange.
I think this was, I really wouldn't put it past Cynthia. She's just the ultimate of ultimate singers. So I feel like the beginning was also, that childish side of Elphaba, that excitement. And then now she's kind of, once you're with the wizard, no one thinks you're strange. She's kind of coming into her womanliness. And I love that she's changed that color in the sound. We're not having huge changes to the volume though. We've still got very much, and it's like a thick, thin vocal fold, very typical of musical theater. Not convinced there's a hell of a lot of thyroid tilt going on here because we're just not hearing that sweetness of the sound. A little bit, once you're with the wizard, no one thinks you're... I think she's tilting through there.
Wizard, no one thinks.
Can you hear wizard? And we're getting a little bit of that vibrato coming. It's just that slight sweetening of the sound. Could also be that she started the second verse with slightly more thyroid tilt, and that's kind of what's bringing in that little bit of darkness.
'Cause once you're with the wizard, no one thinks you're strange. No father is not proud of you. No sister acts ashamed. All of us has to love you. By the wizard you're acclaimed. And this gift or this curse I have inside, maybe at last I'll know why. As we walk hand in hand, the wizard and I.
second verse there, you know, very similar vocal style. I'm just like so taken by this dancing. Is this just not absolutely beautiful in the way that they've staged it? Otherwise, you literally just have someone like standing on stage for the entire song. And it's just these dancers. Let's just take a minute for them, because this is just like perfection, absolute perfection.
The wizard and one day he'll say to me, Alpha, a girl who is so superior, shouldn't a girl who's so good inside have a matching exterior and sends folks here to an absurd degree?
And you go, shouldn't a girl who's so good inside? You know, one of the tricky parts about working in particular styles of singing is that you kind of get stuck in one way. And I'm not saying that Cynthia Erivo is stuck, okay? No, hear me out. I'm just saying that what can often happen is you find it very, very easy to get into one vocal quality because that's the way you work. Like, for example, a lot of people come to me to learn how to belt and sing very high and loud, sing this sort of stuff. So my tendency is, and kind of the way that I always sing tends to be, even if it's super quiet, pretty much in a belt quality a lot of the time. And I can sing belt very, very, very quietly, which is, you know, cool for some things, but not really for a lot of other styles of music. Good thing that I sing a lot of rock. So, but if you are looking to learn how to belt, that is something that I am teaching you inside my online singing school, the Vocal Academy. You can check out the link in the description below. You can actually join the community completely free, and you do have access to my Find Your Chest Voice Challenge as well as my warm-up series. So you can get that down below and check it all out so you can see what workshops are coming up and join me to learn how to belt. I'm so pumped. Love teaching people how to sing really high and loud. So what we've got there, though, is, actually, thick, thin vocal folds. She's going really, really high. This could also be like a bit of thickness. I'd have to whack it through a spectrogram to be like exactly what she's doing. Or have a chat with her.
Have a matching exterior and sends folks here to an absurd degree. Seem fixated on your verdigris. Would it be alright by you?
See, she's got you, and she's adding in that tilt then. That's what's kind of signaling in my ears that maybe she's just in a vertical larynx position for a lot of that section, because it's very straight and it sounds quite bright. Shouldn't a girl so good inside? So it's almost like getting us ready for the belt that's going to be coming at the end and almost preempting it in this section of the song.
Would it be alright by you if I did greenify you? No, of course that's not important to me. Alright, why not? I'll reapply. Oh, what a pair we'll be, the wizard and I. Yes, what a pair we'll be, the wizard and
you see that? She wanted to beef up the sound there, but stopped herself. And I wonder why. I know we talked about this over on my Defying Gravity analysis, but I almost wonder that if that is because it's easier for singers. And I know Cynthia Erivo could sing the telephone book and we'd all pay to hear it, but she's also got a beautiful flexible larynx. That could be because it is easier for us to stay in a certain vocal quality than it is for us to change in and out of these larynx positions. So she could be choosing just to like play it safe, stay in one. Could also be because, I don't know, maybe she had a cold the week before and she's singing the song particularly technically, because this is quite different to the way that we know that we're hearing it from the recordings. Could be due to so many different reasons. It's beautiful anyway, but I'm just really curious as to why there's not more difference in these color changes that occur usually in the sound.
the wizard and I. Yes, what a pair we'll
You hear that? Sort of like a little bit of breath, a little bit of grit coming in there. Let's just go back on that. Again, not poo-pooing or like picking at Cynthia's anything. She's just beautiful. I'm just really curious. I know people pick up on these things and go, how do I make exactly that sound? It could be due to like so many different reasons why she's making it.
all right, why not? I'll reapply.
And you see that, oh, right, why not? I'll reply. She's like full on in the belt mode, like love it.
Oh, what a pair we'll be, the wizard and I. I've just had a vision, almost like a prophecy. I know it sounds truly crazy and true. The vision's hazy.
I love the visions hazy. So let's just go back on that, because we've got, again, a slightly lighter sound coming in here. I think she's backed off the vocal foreclosure a little bit. Again, not really allowing, I'm banging on a little bit about thyroid tilt, aren't I? It's very important.
Unlimited.
There we go. Unlimited. She's releasing into that thyroid tilt there, which is needed to bring on the vibrato. I cannot tell you how many bad videos I've seen about people teaching freaking vibrato. Vibrato. Anyone can do vibrato. It's just about the way that you teach it, and it's not about a lot of the tips that are out there. Honestly, join my vocal community. I am going to be running a course specifically on vibrato. It drives me batty how much misinformation is out there about fucking vibrato.
And I've just had a vision, almost like a prophecy. I know it sounds truly.
So when we're hearing, I love that, I know, we've got this vowel. It's kind of bringing in, immediately as soon as we move into the vowel, we are going to be going, or it sounds like we are in thicker vocal folds than we maybe are.
Crazy and true. The vision's hazy, but I swear someday there'll be a celebration throughout Oz. That's all to do with me. And I'll stand there with the wizard.
So this is what I was kind of looking for right from the beginning. I'm quite surprised that we have quite a bright sound throughout the entire song. And again, maybe that was the director's decision. Maybe that was the musical director's decision. Maybe that was because she had a cold. Maybe that was, I know that she works with Joan Lauder in New York. She has a regular vocal coach. So all of these decisions have been made by various people. Maybe that was a Stephen Schwartz. I've got no idea. So I think that now we're bringing in this note, and maybe the reason, this is kind of like I'm spitballing here, I think that the reason why they've chosen to have only that me and to kind of bring in that darkness of the sound with a slight larynx dropping in to really beef up the vocal folds, moving into that full belty sound. I think it's because that is the moment where Alphaba just kind of goes like, boom, I'm laying, I'm like, I'm going to be the woman that I want to be. And this is the whole song has been growing towards this. So like thematically, it makes sense that this is where she's bringing it in. I love it. I love it. So we've got the man. She's really beefing, basically the way in which we get louder and we're crescendo. There's a crescendo going from quiet to loud. We're beefing up the vocal folds. Man, now stand there. Did they do the key change? Too many things to listen to. You can play with that. Things I've never felt. So that vowel is going to lend itself to those color changes, really making sure you're playing around with the sounds that are given to us in the lyrics. That's why everyone loves to sing this song, because it's just so beautifully written for singers.
No, I never show it. Had me so happy I could melt. And though it will be for the rest of my life, and I'll want nothing else till I die. Held in such high esteem. When people see me, they will scream. For half of Oz's favorite team.
You could see that. Boom! boom, she was anchoring through the back. And I know that she's anchoring because I know that Joan Lauder is an Estel master instructor. And so if you have no idea what that means, I'm an Estel master trainer. And Estel voice training is a model of function. So that's what I'm talking about when saying like thyroid, cartilage, all this sort of stuff. You know, we talk about the way in which we can produce sounds by moving particular parts of our larynx. So we're working on I'm losing my train of thought. We are non-aesthetically biased. So we're not saying like this is better than the other one. You'll notice I'm never saying that in any of my videos, but I want to make sure that we're saying this is what's happening, this is what could be happening, this is what could be causing the sound. So what she's doing there, she's going boom, she's packing the lats, she's lifting the chest. You can see that the tension in the hand, but she's lifting the chin ever so slightly. We'll go on back on that because when we lift the chin ever so slightly, it can help to arrest that forward movement of the larynx. When we're belting, we're tipping the cricoid back and not the thyroid forward. And you see that you have to, boom, you are increasing the subglottic pressure, increasing the pressure inside the lungs, inside this cavity. So from the diaphragm to the vocal folds, we're squishing it so that we can get thicker, but like vocal fold mass on the vocal folds themselves. So I love that actually that we got really like the kind of the Cynthia Erivo sound that we're used to hearing, you know, the hi, a little bit more of that thyroid tilt coming on to sweeten that sound. You saw that she took quite a few, well, not quite a few, she took three or four, like distinct breaths. The microphones come very far away from her mouth. That tells us that she's really transitioned into full on belt. Belt is loud. Belt is loud. This is like musical theater belt. There are a lot, like belt has many colors. As I said, we talk about it inside the Vocal Academy. It honestly has to be dealt with on a one-to-one basis because there are so many different colors to belt. But like belt itself in its purest form is what we're looking at here. Love it. And, you know, I know a lot of people might be going like, oh, that's totally incorrect breathing. Sorry, but actually there's loads of different ways that we can breathe for singing, and we should be utilizing like all of them. Yeah, we should be being flexible, and we want the breath to be flexible to what it meets on the way up. So essentially when she's breathing like this, she's increasing that subglottic pressure, which is needed for the belt. That's what I said before. So when you're breathing short, sharp, and high, it actually helps to activate these upper chest muscles and the upper back muscles, which makes belting a whole heap easier rather than, and I want you to try this, hand on the tummy, breathing low drags the larynx down, which is what we fucking don't want. And I know I see this all the time. I have my students come in and they say to me like, Zoe, but I learned this from this person about breathing. Honestly, if someone is saying to you there is only one way to breathe for singing, they should go back and do some training, okay? They need to go and do some training for singing, teaching, looking at physiology, okay? Singing is changing all the time. We know that there are a ton of different ways that we can breathe, and it's about working with the physiology and working about what the sound is that you're actually wanting to achieve. Sorry, I'll just get off my pedestal there because it really annoys me when I see singers coming in and they're like, oh, I just can't get it. I feel like I can't sing, just because some idiot online who has never taught singing in their lives, but just calls themselves a fucking vocal coach, decides to go on about breathing because that's the way that they were taught to breathe for singing. But if you watch them actually sing, that's not how they breathe. So many of those videos out there. So many of them. Dear God. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day about breathing for singing. It's a topic I feel very, very passionate about, okay, if you cannot already. Anyway, whatever. Cynthia's breathing perfectly for her own voice. We can say she breathed a whole bunch of different ways in that video. We could watch it again and talk only about her breathing, which was beautiful. Oh my goodness me. Absolutely fantastic. Let me know down in the comments if you were there, what I should have a look at next. I'm obsessed. I'm so excited about part 2 of the movie. Check out, what did we have a look at already? We had a look at Defying Gravity and we had a look at For Good, which I absolutely, honestly, I bawled my eyes out because it's just such a beautiful song. Anyone can learn to sing. It's a muscular thing. Actually, if you are, public service announcement, okay? If you are struggling with your voice, then I need you to check out the link in the description below for my discussion that I had with the fantastic Jessica Luffy talking about tongue tie and singing. I recently found out that I was diagnosed with, that I had tongue tie. Who knew? Okay. And I had it released. My life has been changed forever and ever, and I can sing better than I ever have in my life. That aside, it causes a huge amount of different issues in different singers. Check out in the description below. If you are finding it difficult with pitching, tension in your voice, feeling like you're straining, any of those sorts of feelings, you can check out the podcast where we talk at length about the symptoms and how to test for tongue tie itself. I just had to let you know that because it's really important to me. Anyway, and important to you to get it out there. So, you're amazing. Anyone can sing. Just go out and practice. Ka kite anō.